Hello everyone, this is Gage from Gondor and Smith, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys another Third Age Reforged online multiplayer battle replay. Now this one is a 2 versus 2 on the Black Plains of Mordor. Yes, we are going to be invading the Black Land of Sauron. And of course I am going to be playing as Gondor. No, not of course, but still. I am going to be playing as Gondor today because I thought it would make a lot of sense, I guess, to be invading Mordor while playing as Mordor's arch nemesis, that being Gondor. And also, I mainly just played as Gondor because every time there is a new hotfix out, I usually play with Gondor in a pitch battle just to see if they are effective in a pitch battle pretty much at all. But also, I should mention that the 0.96.1 hotfix has been released officially, so make sure you check out the link in the description below to get that hotfix if you have not done so already. It has made some very, I think it needed changes to the patch. I think it makes everything a lot more balanced, particularly in pitch battles, at least for Gondor anyway. But anyway, we can go ahead and go into the army compositions, beginning with my own. I have a couple units here of the Ramus Ekor Garrison Archers. These guys cost you about 475 florins and without any upgrades. And you can bring 2 of them before the price increase. And these guys I find to make for very, very cost-effective low-tier archers. They can soak up a lot of enemy ammunition because of the fact that they do have shields and pretty decent armor. They don't have great damage, and they're of course not very good in melee, but for a unit that you want the enemy to waste their arrows on, they're definitely a very good pick. I also have 1 unit of the standard Gondor archers to give a little bit more damage, and they also have both armor upgrades, so they too will be able to waste a lot of the enemy arrows, as well as deal a little bit more damage than the Ramus Ekor Garrison Archers. I also have, for cavalry, I have 1 unit of the Pinnith Galen Lancer Cav, so these guys should do pretty well against lots of infantry off with their AP charges. However, against other Cav, they're not going to do super great, so they definitely will need to be supported. For my general, I have 1 unit of the Gandalf's, if I can back up a little bit, the Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard. These guys are not a knight unit, so they're not quite as good as other higher tier Cav units, but that is because, you know, Gondor does not really focus on their Cav too much. However, they are still very deadly. They have multiple hit points, good armor, good shield value, and they are AP Lancers, as well as the fact they are pretty good in melee as well. Over here for my last 2 units of Cav, I actually have 2 units of the Gondor Cavalry, and these guys have definitely underwent the biggest change for Gondor in the hotfix. These guys used to be just a standard Lancer, you know, AP, off-the-charge type of cavalry unit, but now they have been changed to a Spear Cav unit, which means they are effective against other cavalrymen. Now, I think this is a very good change because before, Gondor really struggled, I feel, in pitch battles, mainly because their Cav was so poor. And I do understand the fact that they're not supposed to be a very cavalry-strong faction, but just the fact that they didn't have any, like not even a single unit of Cav that was effective against other Cav, really made it difficult for them to do good in pitch battles, especially against armies that had wargs, who have an insanely good anti-cavalry bonus. But with their spear bonus against other cavalrymen, they actually can do very well in a support position. These guys do have both armor upgrades as well as 1 attack upgrade, so they did cost me quite a bit of money. However, used in a support role, they can actually do very well. However, you also have to make sure you know who your enemy is, because of the fact that they are spear cav and not like melee cav, like with theirs, like they don't have a sword. They are pretty poor against foot infantry, so you have to make sure that you only bring them if your enemy can or will bring pretty deadly cav themselves. For my infantry, I have 1 unit here of the Gondor Spearmen that have been fully upgraded with both armor upgrades and an attack upgrade. I have 2 units of the Citadel Guard, who are of course AP Spears. I have 2 units of the Fountain Guard, who have been given their phalanx or pike wall formation back now, so this makes them still very deadly again, and they are of course still AP. In the back, I've got 3 units of fully upgraded Gondor infantry, that being they have 2 units of, or 2 armor upgrades as well as 1 unit of the attack upgrade. They are 1 attack upgrade, sorry. They also are going to cost me a little bit more, but they should do pretty effective in most engagements. I also have 1 unit here of the Axemen of Lossarnach, who are of course an AP shock infantry unit. They're not super great despite how cool they look, but still they can get the job done against most heavily armored forces. These guys actually have also been given a slight change. Before you could only have the before you could give them 2 armor upgrades, but if you gave them only 1 upgrade, they would still look like their bald bearded selves. But now this is what they look like with the 1 armor upgrade. With the 2 armor upgrades, they actually are given the nobles, or Lossarnach nobles, I think is what they were called, look. But still a very effective, still a very effective AP shock infantry unit. And over here, I've got 1 unit of the Care Andros Swordmasters, who are of course shock infantry as well, but they are not AP. However, they do inspire fear or instill fear into their enemies, as well as the fact that they are highly skilled, which is something that is not too common with most AP shock infantrymen. However, they themselves are not AP, and they are of course pretty susceptible targets to skirmish fire. However, they do have pretty good armor, so they can sustain, well, they can weather arrows for a little bit, but you definitely do not want them to get shot for a prolonged amount of time, because they will certainly fall. But that is pretty much it for my army comp. So we can now go over here to my ally, who is going to be Minhash, who is playing as Dale. He has got one unit of the Earls of Dale, who are of course a melee cav with a sword and shield, so they can do pretty well against foot infantry in a prolonged fight. However, we do not have, of course, have an AP charge, and against other cavalry they can do very, very well. Over here on his other flank, he has one unit of the standard Dalian cav, who are an AP Lancer cav. He has one unit of the Dalian Spears, who are a kind of middle tier spearman unit. He's got one unit of the Swordmasters of Karnan, who are of course pretty similar to the Carindor Swordmasters. He has got 3 units of the AP Bardingherd Halberds. He's got only 2 units of the standard Lieutenant Infantry. These are actually, I believe, his only 2 units of Sword and Shield Infantry at all, because, as you will see shortly here, he is definitely going to be relying on pikes and polearms. Because he has got the 3 units of Bardingherd, as well as 4 units, surprisingly enough, of the Lake Town Pikemen. These guys are not great, but they are pretty cheap and cost effective, and as long as they stay in their formation, they can do very well for themselves. In addition to this, he has got 2 units of the Bardian Marksmen, who are not bad, probably above average human archers. They can actually weather a lot of arrows because of their shield values and good armor. He also has 1 unit of the Athala Rangers, who I believe are a little bit misplaced here on this front archer line, because Rangers tend to do very badly in archer-to-archer fights just because of their low armor. These guys are definitely something that you'd want to keep kind of in your backlines and wait for the perfect opportunity for when the enemy decides to blob up. But we'll have to see if he does keep his Rangers alive long enough to take advantage of that. For his last archer unit, or not his last, his second to last rather, archer unit, he has got 1 unit of the Morquendi Bows. And these guys are actually very, very cool and interesting because they're technically, I believe, elven archers, because they're elven mercenaries, I believe, and that means that they actually have the elven accuracy even though they are in a human faction. So these guys are very expensive. I believe they're like 1,000 florins, but they actually are very good just because of their elven accuracy. For his last unit, he has way back here 1 unit of the Blackshot Dragon Slayers. For his general, they have been given a new model, but unfortunately, because of how dark this map is, you probably can't see it too well. I did mess around with the brightness settings quite a bit so you guys could actually see the whole battle, but you probably can't look too great in detail, unfortunately, at these very cool guys. They have been given, of course, the new model upgrade, and that is where his general is. I think I did mention that already, though. So we can now go over here to the first of the enemy armies. This is, of course, going to be Mordor, being commanded by a Mark XMD. He's got a couple units here in the front lines of the Orc Fodder. He's got 2 units, I think. Yes, 2 units of the Black Legion of Barad-dûr, who are, of course, very good pushing units. They should do quite well against the pikes as long as they go into shield wall and then push through. He's got 2 units of the AP Moranon Heavy Maulers. And as long as these guys stay out of range of the archers, or at least away from the archers for long enough to do some damage in melee, they should do rather well for themselves. He has 1 unit of the AP Moranon Halberds, who, again, should do okay as long as they stay away from the archers. He has got his 2nd unit of Black Legion of Barad-dûr here, as well as 1 unit of the Minas Morgul Chosen Spears. He's got 2 units of the Mornon Archers, who should do pretty well for themselves as well. He's got 1 unit of the Olaghai with their new unit model, and these guys actually are definitely one of the better troll units in the game currently. And then back here he's got his very elite units. He's got 1 unit of the AP Temple Guard. These guys are not only AP with their bows, but they make for a very good melee infantry once they run out of ammo. He's got 1 unit of the Nazgul. There are actually 12 of them here because it is on huge settings. And he also has 1 unit of the Temple Executioners here, who are a very, very deadly, very elite multiple hit point shock infantry unit. And these guys also have been given a new model. If you have extra funds, you can actually give these guys an armor upgrade, and they will actually all be given this officer look right here. And I can tell you, it looks very, very nice. For his final unit, I believe it's his final unit. He has 1 unit of the Melkors Chosen right back here. These guys are definitely one of the best anti-cav units in the game, and because of their multiple hit points and very high armor values, they can weather pretty much any arrows. However, against the Blackshot Dragon Slayers, these guys will definitely fall. That is where his general is, by the way. But against any other cav, these guys will pretty much chew through it pretty much all by themselves. But we can now go over here to his ally, who is going to be new player 195, commanding an army of Umbar. So he has got 1 unit of the Warlords of Umbara and 1 unit of the, way back over here, Númenórean Lancers. And I actually brought all my cav because I thought the Lancers would do pretty well for themselves. And I did, of course, bring the 2 units of upgraded Gondor Cavalry because they should do really well for themselves actually against the Númenórean Lancers, and if they're given support, they should also do pretty well against the Warlords of Umbar. I also thought that he might have brought some mercenary cav, which is why I brought my own anti-cav units as well. But he only does have the 2 units of cav here anyways. He also has 1 unit of the standard Bodyguard footman spears, low tier spear unit. He's got 2 units of the Bodyguard archers, who also have pretty nice armor and a good shield value, but not too much damage. He's got 2 units of the light Corsair archers, not going to do too well in a skirmish fight, but still should at least draw my attention away for some time. He's got a front line of 4 units of Corsairs. These guys are very, very cheap, but because of that, they are pretty terrible. They can do like okay, I guess, as a fodder type role, but because of their lack of shield and pretty much non-existent armor values, they make for very weak targets to arrows. However, because they're very cheap, if these guys are getting shot for a long time, they can do a very good job of wasting arrows. He also, back here, yeah, here's a second of Bodyguard archers. He's got 1 unit down here of the Númenor and Shield Guard, who are a very effective spear unit. Not AP, but still very good, and should do quite well against any cav if they're able to catch it. And then for his third line, he's got 4 units, it looks like, of Corsair infantry, who are just kind of a slightly better version of the Corsairs. These guys do have a shield and better stats pretty much all around. However, they are pretty much, well, they are quite a bit more expensive than the Corsairs, of course. But they're also, of course, slightly better in terms of cost effectiveness. Back here is 1 of the Abrazetum Narduzigar, who are, of course, a two-handed sword or two-handed shock infantry sword unit. These guys should do quite well against most of my sword and shield infantrymen. And for his final line, he's got 4 units of the Castamir's Legion. These guys are very, very deadly sword and shield infantrymen, and I believe one of which is where his general is. Yes, this one is where his general is. But that pretty much just about does it for his army, except for I think he has 1 hidden unit of the Castamir's Rangers somewhere around here. Because he is nicely positioned on this hill, the Rangers should do quite well for themselves. But something that you might be able to notice, or maybe have already noticed, is that he has a rather surprising Umbar army considering he is facing Gondor, because as you could probably tell, he does not have a lot of AP. He does not have any javelins. You can actually bring 2 javelins, or very elite javelins rather, as Umbar, and he does not have a single one. He also does not have any halberds or any AP shock infantry, so he is going to struggle quite heavily, I believe, as we'll probably see later in the battle itself. But he can definitely still do good. I think he's going to struggle against my Fountain Guard in particular. However, he definitely does have numbers, so he could still always try to surround the Fountain Guard and more important units like that. But if I can actually put it back down to 1 speed, we'll get to see what's going on. So right away, I did notice that he definitely has the terrain advantage on me right now. Also, there's the fact that I am very much out of position right now, so I'm just trying to reform my lines pretty much as quickly as possible to face this enemy down, because you can see he's definitely on a good hill position up there, and he will definitely be able to rain down arrows upon me pretty quickly. Over here, Dale actually does not have to move because it looks like Mordor is going to be moving to him. As you can see, Mordor marching his way slowly over to face Dale first. It looks like Mordor kind of wants to stick to this hill, and that's probably fine because he definitely is outmatched in terms of just pure archers and just numbers of archers. Dale as a faction, as well as Gondor actually, are both very, very difficult to skirmish down, just because of how good their armor is and how many archers they can field. But I think it would be maybe a pretty good attempt, I think, to try to skirmish down Dale. Not even really his archers, but just try to focus on his pikes, because so much of his infantry doesn't have shields that even the Mordor archers should do pretty darn well for themselves against all of this against all those Lake 10 pikes. And that's actually what I thought was... Oh, better slow down for a second here. That's what I thought was rather interesting about the Dalian army, is the fact that he did bring so many pikes and archers, but he does not have any artillery to really force his enemy to him, so he's going to have to try some interesting tactics to force his enemy to come to him. So you can see I moved my archers a little bit too far forward here, but both units of the Umbar cavalry are actually coming over here to face down my own cavalry, so I don't have to worry about my archers getting charged quite yet. It looks like new player 195 is actually going to retreat with his Warlords of Umbara and instead replace them with his Númenorian Lancers here, but I do have both units of Gondor Cav over here, as well as some Citadel Guard here, so if he's not careful, he could definitely lose his Cav here. And because there was no enemy Cav to stop it, I did decide to charge my Penithgalen Cavalry straight here into these light Corsair archers, and that is going to definitely reap a bloody toll on these poor low-tier archers. However, there are some Corsairs coming in from behind now to try to support their archers, so I will have to pull out my cavalry pretty quickly here unless I want to lose them. Unfortunately, my cav did get a little bit stuck here, but I will be able to pull them out with most of the units still intact. And also I was able to force these Corsair archers to retreat and stop them from dying, at least for a little bit of time. Over here we have got the Warlords of Umbar going to try to come all the way over here in support of the Númenórean Lancers, because you can see the Númenórean Lancers have actually been surrounded on all sides by both of my units of anti-cav spear units. However, unfortunately for this unit of Gondor Cav, they're about to get charged right in the back by the Warlords of Umbar, who are of course a super deadly knight unit. That is going to be a huge amount of damage to my poor Gondor cavalry that we're doing so well. So I actually am coming in here with some Penethalen Cav to try to support and surround these warlords here. Let's try to look at my Gondor Cav. Ooh, yeah, that was a very bad... it's a huge amount of damage, but you can see the Númenórean Lancers taking a ton of casualties to my anti-Cav's Gondor cavalry right here. So definitely the Gondor cavalry has had a nice change. You can see they actually are doing pretty effectively for themselves, or trading quite well for themselves against the Númenórean Lancers, who are very expensive themselves. In the rear charge from the Penethalen Cavalry, have taken a lot of losses, but I think it was worth it, because you can see the Warlords of Umbara are now down to 17. But I will have to pull out with most of my cav here, because you can see that there are some Númenórean Shield Guard coming in here now, and I do not want to lose any more cav than I have already done. Because you can see that I have taken quite a lot of losses in terms of cavalry. Let's take a look. I've got 27 in that unit, other units at 40, and then my Penethalen are pretty darn weak themselves. I also have my Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard over here, because I wanted to try to take out the last of those warlords who are down to 12. The Númenórean Lancers, I am once again going to attack with both my units of Spear Cav, because the Foot Spears had actually decided to run away. So this will be the end here of those Númenórean Lancers. I'm going to try to chase down some archers now as well with my Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard. So I'm going to get a pretty nice charge off here onto these poor Corsair archers. Gandalf, you can see right in the front there. That's a very good charge. But anyway, over here, we have got the Mordor archers, no, not archers, the Orc fodder actually moving forward towards Dale. You can see the pikes have actually marched in front of the archers now, which I don't quite know how I feel about that, just because of the fact that the elected pikemen are so lightly armored that if any of the Mordor archers decide to move forward, they will take a lot of losses. Looks like Dale is trying to skirmish down the Black Legion of Barad-dûr, interestingly enough. They're going to be able to weather those arrows very well because of their big shields. Looks like the Mordor Heavy Maulers are also taking losses though, but hopefully he does switch targets to the Mordor Heavy Maulers, because they're definitely the targets that will take the most losses there. Corsairs have forced me to retreat with some of my Ramus Ecor Garrison archers. Over here we've got the Warlords of Umbar charging straight into my remaining Gondor Cav of this unit. So this is going to be a pretty even fight, but the Warlords will probably be able to win this one just because of the archer support. So that is why I brought my Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard over here to support my own Gondor Cav. And this will pretty much be the end of those Warlords of Umbar. And over here you can see my other unit of Gondor Cav, as well as the Penethalen Cav, dealing with the last of the Númenórean Lancers, who have just now broken. So definitely the Gondor Cav trading quite well in that engagement. Warlords of Umbar actually breaking as well. Now that I have won the Cav engagement, I'm going to pull back with most of my cavalry, well, at least with most of my Spear Cav, and with the Lancers I will just try to do as much damage as possible. Because the Gondor Cav don't have shields, and while they do have both armor upgrades, they still will take a lot of losses to the arrow fire. And like I said before, because they're Spear Cav, they're actually not going to do they're really not going to do too well, honestly, against foot infantry. So they have pretty much run their usefulness dry now. You can see Dale kind of moving around now as Mordor starts to move forward with some Orc fodder. Black Legion and loose formation. I'm very surprised actually that the Mordor Heavy Maulers are not getting targeted, because these would definitely be the better target because they have no shields, whereas the Black Legion have a huge shield and very nice armor. We've got some Orc fodder, some Olog. Yeah, so it looks like Mordor and Dale are just still in a pretty long skirmish phase. And over here you can see I'm moving forward with some of my own infantry and archers. I am outnumbered in terms of the archer fight. However, now that I have won the Cav engagement, I should be pretty free to target whatever I would like with my archers, as well as move my lancers around to try to get some charges off into the enemy Cav. Beligir archers taking quite a few losses. The Corsairs doing alright, I guess. They are still doing a pretty good job of supporting their archers, at least with, or at least in a meat shield type of role. Yeah, Corsair archers still pretty healthy. The Shield Guard are of course still very healthy. And my cavalry, Peneth Galen cavalry, down to 11. And I think my Gondor cav, I think one unit of my Gondor cav has been taken out, but the other unit is still pretty healthy. My Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard is at 29. Yes, this unit of Gondor cavalry is at 36, so about halfway. Or about half the unit has been defeated now. Oh, looks like, is Mordor moving forward? Nope, Mordor is still just getting shot right now by Dale. Okay, here we go. Now the Mordor halberds are getting targeted, so that's definitely a better target. Being unshielded and relatively not well armored. I mean, they've got decent armor, but not great armor. So against all these arrows, they will definitely take losses. Looks like the body-piercing rangers might even be firing at them. But we do now have a unit of the Mordor archers here to return fire, and they're actually using fire ammo. And yes, they're firing straight into these Dalian spears here. A very interesting target by both Dale and Mordor, honestly. I think it'd be better to target the Lake Town pikemen. Follow rangers in the front lines. Again, not a great idea most of the time, but because they're not taking any skirmish fire, they should do alright. And, oop, this is where things start to get a little bit exciting, I think. Because, yes, you can see that Umbar is actually moving forward with a lot of his forces now. Peneth Galen down to 11, my Gandalf's Retinue, or no, my Gondor cav. Not the health unit, that was a unit that was already routing. And yes, it looks like Umbar is thinking about charging here. He's just trying to move most of his infantry forward and reform his lines a little bit, and then he will charge me. He's got his very elite units back here, that being Castimir's Legion and Abrazanem Narduzagar. Also got some Beligir footmen there as well to protect against any cav charges. And those Castimir's Rangers are somewhere around here. Something that you could probably notice early on is that I do not have any of my own Rangers. Well, but right here, I did decide to just go ahead and charge into these Corsairs with my Lancers, because why not? Because they have hit points, and because they're AP off the charge, they should do pretty well against these lightly armored Corsairs. Just trying to get in as much damage as possible before I do get attacked in terms of infantry. Here are the Rangers moving forward. These guys, probably the best target for them would be units like the Axemen of Lossarnock, the Carrier Swordmasters, or the Fountain Guard, because those are pretty much my only unshielded units. Unfortunately, my Peneth Galen Cavalry and my Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard are taking a lot of archer fire right now. So after time, they will start taking losses. Corsair Infantry getting shot point blank by my Gondor Archers. I don't think I meant to target them. I think it was just because they were on fire at will. But still, because the Corsair Archers, or because the Corsair Infantry isn't greatly armored, this should take a okay amount of losses. But because their shield actually, no, I actually take it back there. They do have a shield, so they should be able to weather those arrows pretty well for themselves. Gandalf's Retinue pulling back. I've got my Fountain Guard here in the front line, both units of them. And here we go. It looks like, yes, it does look like Umbar is going to clash with the front lines here. We've got some Corsair Infantry and some standard Corsairs, maybe. No, there's some, just looks like 2 units of the Corsair Infantry now. Charging into my Fountain Guard. That is not going to be an even fight for them. The Corsair Infantry will get absolutely butchered by my Fountain Guard here, because the Fountain Guard are AP and they do have phalanx formation, so they will just be able to absolutely destroy the Corsair Infantry here. Corsair Infantry really does not stand much of a chance. Over here, though, I've got my Citadel Guard also dealing with some Corsairs. That will be an easy fight for them relatively. And over here, it's going to be a little bit closer with the standard Gondor Spearmen trying to deal with the Corsairs, but still, I think the Gondor Spears will be able to win this fight over time. It will just take a little bit of time. Castimir's Rangers, though, trying to sneak around the flank. I'm trying to target them with my own archers because Rangers are, of course, pretty lightly armored. Yes, the Castimir's Rangers getting into a pretty nice position for themselves. I'm going to try to silence them just because of the fact that if they are able to get into a nice hill position like this, they will be able to do a huge amount of damage to my pretty much whole battle line. And you can see some Castimir's Legion creeping forward here now, as well as some archers getting a little bit closer to the lines. Again, the Fountain Guard going to be able to deal with those Corsair Infantry. Over here we've got some Citadel Guard trying to deal with the Corsair Infantry, and over here we have some more Corsair Infantry trying to sneak around the flank after my Gandalf Retinue Bodyguard. But over here, we can go ahead and take a look at what's going on with Dale and Mordor. You can see the Earls of Dale charging into some Olag High. Oof, that's not going to be a good fight for them. The Olag High are very, very strong, and because the Earls are not AP off the charge, they're not going to be able to do that kind of damage to the Olag High. And over here, things are just getting crazy. It looks like there's some Bardian Marksmen getting attacked by the Trolls. There's some Lincoln Infantry trying to slow down the Trolls. There's the Pikes here trying to deal with the Mantle of the Chosen. We've got Barding Herd and Lake Town Pikemen trying to go with the pushes of the Black Legion of Barad-dûr. We also have more pikes fighting against some more heavy maulers. That should be a pretty good fight for the pikes as long as they stay in formation. But over here, oof, yeah, things are just looking pretty even. We've got Dalian Spearmen getting attacked by the Black Legion of Barad-dûr. Ooh, yes, and here come the Melkor's Chosen. They're taking a lot of arrow volleys, but again, because of their hit points and high armor values, they should be able to deal with those arrows very easily. Over here, my Gondor Cavalry taking a lot of arrow fire, but honestly, that's fine with me because he's not targeting my more important units. Axemen of Lothernok, I tried to actually charge after the Casimir's Rangers, but unfortunately they were stopped by the Belagir Footmen, so they are unfortunately just getting shot in the back by the Rangers. So I'm going to be moving around my Gondor Cavalry to try to charge into these Casimir's Rangers, but again, because the Gondor Cav is Spear Cav, it's not going to do good against infantry. I also have committed all 3 units of my own standard Gondor infantry to reassure my lines here, and kind of just plug up any holes that I did see. Casimir's Legion, all 4 units I believe have been committed here. Citadel Guard should be able to deal with the Casimir's Legion at least pretty well, especially being supported by Gondor Infantry and Gondor Spearmen, it looks like. So they should be able to deal with the Casimir's Legion after a pretty decent amount of time. Over here I've got Carrion Swordmasters and Gondor Infantry trying to plug up this hole here that has been opened up by the Casimir's Legion. And the Carrion Swordmasters being backed up will be able to deal with the Casimir's Legion. Also the Carrion Swordmasters do inspire fear, so that will definitely be a bonus for myself. Fountain Guard still holding very strong over here. Citadel Guard actually taking a number of losses against the Corsair Infantry. And there are some more Corsair Infantry sneaking up behind them, unfortunately. And we have also some Numenor and Shield Guard over here, so you could very quickly see my line fall apart here because you can see that a lot of Corsair Infantry is sneaking around the flanks here. I've also got my own Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard in the background, trying to cycle charge the whole line. I was going to go after these Corsair Infantrymen because I saw that these Citadel Guard were in the most danger because they're about to be surrounded. And unfortunately, that charge was not enough to really even do a lot of damage, much not even rout them either, so we'll have to see how that goes for myself later. Corsairs routing, the Casimir's Legion trying to hold on, but again, they're very, very outnumbered and outmatched here in this fight. But honestly, on either flank, I'm not really doing too well. Axemen of Lothernok already down to 88, trying to do their best against the Belagir Footmen. Gondor Cav routing after trying to deal with the Casimir's Rangers who are now down to 39. Aberzenum Narduzagar also about to surround my Axemen of Lothernok. So I'm doing pretty well in the main fight. It's just that on both flanks, I'm really not doing too well. You can see, yeah, that in the main fight I am doing pretty well for myself right now, dealing with Umbar's infantry so far. And over here we should take a look at what's going on with Dale. The Mordor archers, oh, Numenor and Shadowguard over here as well, so the body piercing rangers from Mordor as well. Lake Town infantry trying to do their best over here, as well as the Lake Town pikes and Barding Herd. Blackshot Dragonslayers are also there in the background. You got the Lake Town pikes actually doing a pretty good job of dealing with these Black Legion of Barad-dûr. They're also being paired with some Barding Herds. The AP should do really well for themselves there. Minas Morgul Chosen trying to hold on against the Lake Town pikes. Honestly, if the Orc Fodder and Minas Morgul Chosen decide to shield wall push through these pikes, they would be able to do very, very well for themselves. Also back here we have the Olog Hide down to 6 now because they're unsupported, but still, look at these Lake Town infantry already down to 60. All of the Earls of Dale have been taken out, and there's only, what are they, 101 Barding Marksmen left over. Here we've got some Dalian Spears, and the Swordmasters of Karnan are around here somewhere. I don't know where the Mordor Cav is, though. It should be around here somewhere. Ooh, there it is. Yes, the Melkor's Chosen. Just charging into the back lines of... Yes. Charging into the back lines right now of Dale, going into the Blackshot Dragonslayers as well as the Morquindi bows, so you can actually see pull out two-handed swords. It actually looks like quite a unique sword for elves, which that's always cool to see. Oof, yeah, that's not good. I mean, they are charging into pikes and halberds, but again, because he's actually doing a pretty good job of microing here, he's not going to take a ton of losses. And also, the Melkor's Chosen do inspire fear, I believe. So, if Dale is not careful, he could see the loss of a lot of his army just due to routing. But over here you can see that Umbar's infantry has pretty much been dealt with. There's still a few Casimir's Legion here and there trying to do their best, but for the most part I have pretty much won the infantry fight. Basically just have to deal with the flanking forces. My Gondor Spears doing very good because they're of course fully armor upgraded. I got my Carrion Swordmasters over here. Gandalf's Retinue down to 21. Yeah, I've got my Carrion Swordmasters charging into archers. Probably not the best idea, but it was pretty much just one of the free units that I saw that was still relatively close to the enemy. I've got my Fountain Guard moving around, as well as my Gondor Infantry, because they have managed to defeat their enemies. Of course, our infantry routing over there. And over here we've got my Citadel Guard fighting against the Numenor and Shield Guard. And although this might look initially like it'd be a pretty close fight, the Numenor and Shield Guard will lose this fight actually pretty heavily just because of the AP of the Citadel Guard. That is really one of the really awesome things about the Citadel Guard, is that they are AP. However, unlike the Numenor and Shield Guard, the Citadel Guard are not locked in morale. So these guys can rout. It will take a lot, but they still can rout. Yeah, my Fountain Guard, really not even too much of a scratch. This unit has only taken like 30 losses. The other one has only taken like 20. I've still got my Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard trying to charge into the Castmir's Legion just to try to deal with things a little bit quicker. And yes, my whole front line of upgraded infantry and spears has pretty much been able to hold on this whole game. The Beligir Footmen, though, and the Abrazettim Narduza doing a pretty good job, though. You can see my Axemen of Lossarnach have been pretty much butchered. And over here, we've still got the Castamir's Rangers still doing their bit. Gonna try to silence them with my Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard here. Looks like they're actually going to attempt to run away. They are not going to get very far, unfortunately for them. However, there are some Abrazettim Narduza though, so I do need to be careful about losing my general. Beligir Archers and Corsair Archers aren't going to be much of a match for my Carrion Swordmasters and upgraded Gondor Infantry, so that fight will definitely go in favor of me over time. Let's take a look around. They've got some fire arrows going to the Corsair Infantry, and the Citadel Guard just butchering these poor Shield Guard. And again, being spears is going to take a while, but still, the fight will go in my favor. Melkor's Chosen down to 13 now. There's still one Olag High. Ooh, unfortunately for Mordor, though, looks like a lot of his infantry is routing. Oh, but we've got the Temple Executioners here being backed up by a few remaining Maulers and Nazgul. Ooh! And actually, there goes Dale's General, getting charging back by the Melkor's Chosen. So things could turn around very quickly after the loss of Dale's General. It had looked like Mordor was going to lose this one really quickly, but because of that, just some more cycle charges from the Melkor's Chosen, as well as maybe some fire arrows, could definitely turn the tide back in favor of Mordor. Like 10 Pikes fighting in some Temple Guard now. Mordor Archers still in the background as well. I think I can go ahead and put it back up to 1 times. But yeah, most of the Mordor infantry looks like has routed, with the exception of some spears like the Minas Morgul Chosen here. Still just getting kind of butchered now by the Pikes and the Archers that are out of ammo. We can take a quick look over here and see what's going on. I'm pretty sure there's just a bit of mopping up to be doing, or to be done. Castamir's Legion still holding on. You can see my general in there. There goes the Umbar general. So that'll pretty much be the end of Umbar. Castamir's Rangers over there getting charged by my Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard. Beligir Footmen, Abrazettim Narduza all thinking about routing after the loss of the general. And over here, most of the archers have fallen as well. So with that pretty much being the end of Umbar, we can go ahead and go over here and watch what's going on between Dale and Mordor. Oh yeah, look at this. A lot of the Lake Town Pikemen routing, because the Temple Guard might be fear-inspiring. I'm pretty sure the Executioners are fear-inspiring. I know the Nazgul are fear-inspiring. So yeah, with all the fear-inspiring around here and the loss of the general, oof, yeah, things are not looking too great for Dale, honestly. Where are the... Yes, and the Melkor's Chosen are still rushing around everywhere, taking out the last of the Athala Rangers right now. Honestly, I would even consider using these 10 Melkor's Chosen to chase down those 90 Dalian pikemen just to make sure they don't return to the fight. And yes, it looks like that is in fact what he's going to be doing. However, he has to be very careful of running to those stakes there. The Morquendi Bows down to only 21 men remaining. And over here we can see the pikes and halberds dealing with the last of the Minas Morgul Chosen.
Our men have fought long and are becoming tired.
And let's take a look. Yes, the Nazgul and Temple Executioners still doing really well, honestly, against the AP halberds and pikes. Well, the pikes aren't AP, but still. The halberds are AP. And again, with all the charges in the rear by the Melkor's Chosen, Mordor still definitely has a chance in this. More Kundi bows going into the fight now. Blackshot Dragon Slayers trying to do their bit as well. Honestly, they should probably be firing at the Melkor's Chosen, just not only to take out that expensive unit, but also to try to kill the general. Yeah, here in the center, even though Mordor is very outnumbered, honestly, I think Mordor will still win this engagement just because of the quality of troops here. He's got Nazgul, Temple Executioners, and Temple Guard all in this fight. So a lot of elites. Oh, here come the Melkor's Chosen once again charging into the Blackshot Dragon Slayers. And going straight into the back of the halberds as well. Look at that. Oh, and they're wavering. They're wavering. We may see these Barding Herd rout. And the Blackshot Dragon Slayers are now down to 15. Yes, and those Barding Herd did in fact rout. Will you look at that? Mordor really turning things around for himself over here. Barding Herd now moving away from the fight with the Temple Guard. Laketown Pikemen and Infantry over here as well. And it looks like the Minas Morgul Chosen have been taken out pretty much completely. However, Mordor still does have a lot of foot archers. He's got some Mornon archers, more Mornon archers. However, there are some Dalian spears over here. Ooh. It looks like they actually took out the last of the body-piercing rangers. So yeah, things taking a very interesting turn over here with Mordor and Dale. Temple Executioners, Nazgul, and all that good stuff are now moving over to the next unit of the Barding Herd. And because of the Nazgul over here and all the constant arrow fire and the cycle charges and the loss of the general, these Barding Herd already routing like that. Oh boy. Really not looking good for Dale right now. You can see how devastating the loss of the general really can be. Blackshot Dragon Slayers down to only 12 remaining. However, Mark definitely needs to be careful here. He does not want to lose his general quite yet. Also, these 7 Melkor's Chosen are really keeping him into the battle just with their constant cycle charging. So he needs to try to keep them alive as long as possible. Oh, but the 84 Laketown Pikemen routing. They were winning that fight there against the Temple Guard, but because of the fear-inspiring units around here, just going to rout pretty much immediately. Ooh, wow. Will you look at that? Over here, Bardian Marksman also probably going to rout as well. Also in the background there you can see my army, fresh from defeating Umbar, has reformed its lines and is making its way over here. Unfortunately, I'm very far away from Dale, so it's going to be quite some time before I get over here. Bardian Marksman out of 48, not actually going to rout quite yet. Temple Guard fighting against some Laketown Infantry, they will be able to win that fight. Actually, I take it back because it looks like most of the unit is chasing after the pikes. Nazgul running around after some Barding Herd. And where are the Dalian Spears? I know there's a Dalian Spear unit around here. Ooh, there's actually Swordmasters of Karnan and some Dalian Spears, so that's still some pretty good infantry, honestly. Looks like they're going to try to get a piece of these archers over here that are still causing so much trouble to Dale. Unfortunately for Dale, he ran out of ammo very early on. I think some of that was due to the fact that he wasted so much on the heavily armored units like the Black Legion of Barad-dûr. But fortunately for him, Mark didn't really have a lot of units to kind of support his Black Legion, so he wasn't really able to shield wall push through all of the pikes. Mornon Archer is going to retreat, not wanting to get cut down quite yet, because it still is, of course, a very close fight over here. Melkor's Chosen constantly running around as well, rushing straight into those poor Bardian Marksmen. Oh boy. Actually, with these guys' two-handed maces, they might actually be AP in melee. I'm pretty positive they're not AP off the charge, but they might be AP in melee. So they're going to do very good for themselves in most fights. Over here, some Laketown Pikes returning from routing, but already thinking about running away once again because of the Temple Guard. And maybe there's some Nazgul around here as well? No, maybe not. But yeah, there are Temple Guard here, charging headlong into some pikes. That'll be a close fight, but as long as pikes are able to get in a good formation, and as long as they don't rout, they should win that fight. Oh, never mind, they routed, so they're not going to win that fight. And over here we've got Temple Executioners and Nazgul trying to run down the last of these Dalian Spears and these Swordmasters of Karnan who are causing so much trouble to the Mordor Archers. Oof, yeah, both the Barding Herd and Dalian Spears are routing, but I think their Swordmasters are still running around here. Yes, there's still 53 of them. We can take a look around though and see what's going on. But yeah, unfortunately you can see I was so far away. It's just taking me forever to actually get over here. You can see I've got some spears in the front line, Gondor spears, as well as both units of Citadel Guard. Behind them I've got my 2 units of Found Guard as well as 3 units of the Gondor Infantry, and behind them I've got my archers. As well as on the flank I have my 1 unit of the Carnadro Swordmasters. Actually, I think my cavalry is over here though. Yes, you can see my 12 Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard charging straight here into the Mordor archers. We're going to do a pretty good amount of damage, but unfortunately not going to be enough to rout that unit. Let's see if Gandalf is still alive, actually. I don't see him, so he might be dead. My general is still alive, I just don't think Gandalf is still alive. Over here, though, we've still got the 7 Melkor's Chosen, burning down the last of the Bardian Marksmen, actually trying to chase down my Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard. And honestly, I'm going to try to run away with my Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard, because the 12 Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard will lose to the 7 Melkor's Chosen, probably. Also, I don't want to lose my general right now, because with all the fear-inspiring that Mordor has left, he could still just, like, pretty much do the same thing to me that he did to Dale. Probably not quite as effectively, because I still have more units than him, or more units than Dale did when he started taking losses to the morale, or to the fear-instilling units, but still. Oh, you always need to be careful with your general. I mean, just look at what happened to poor Dale. You have to be particularly careful about losing your general against armies that can inspire so much fear, like Mordor. Mordor can inspire fear like none other. Oh my goodness, they can inspire so much fear. It is really insane. You can actually build, or fear-inspiring armies can actually be very, very effective a lot of the times, honestly.
If we continue like this, we will smash the enemy.
48 Mordor archers. I am taking a couple losses though with my Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard, so I am going to pull them out before I lose my general. My infantry, my foot infantry though, starting to finally come over this ridge now, getting a little bit closer, but unfortunately for me, Mordor is still running around. I mean, really all he's got left is some archers and then his elites, but that's basically it. Are the Swordmasters of Karnan still around here, or are they dead? I think they might be dead. Or at least routed. No, they're right here. Swordmasters of Karnan, still chasing the archers. These guys have taken a lot of losses. Oh, and here they're about to take some more. They're about to get shot right in the flanks by these Mordor archers. Yes, yes they are. Actually, if the Mordor archers decided to use fire ammo, they could probably rout this unit here. Swordmasters of Karnan are going to try to chase him down, but unfortunately I don't think they're going to be fast enough. There's a lot of dust flying in the air when everyone's running around. Also, something that I think I did not mention before that I think is definitely worth mentioning is that something that was changed in 0.96.1, or rather added in 0.96.1, is that as the battle goes on, there will actually be added some wear and tear to your troops' units, or to your unit's armor and just overall look, and I think that's actually really, really cool. They actually get a lot of like mud and blood and just kind of stains on their armor and clothes. And honestly, I think that is really, really cool. I think it's a really awesome addition. Unfortunately, because of the overall darkness of this map, you can't really see it too well. But if you look really, really, really closely, you can kind of see some like dust and stuff on the Swordmasters of Karnan there. It is particularly easy to notice when you like have a bright unit like even Gondor, like out in like a green like just pitch battle, pretty much like in the day. It's really easy to tell, but it actually looks really, really cool, honestly. Yeah. Anyway, these Swordmasters of Karnan routing after taking the Era of Fire and getting charged by the Melkor's Chosen. Let's see what's up here. We've still got some Mordor archers. We've still got the Temple Executioners. And the Temple Guard. Actually, the Temple Guard getting charged now, right now by my general's unit. Yeah, Temple Guard down to 13. They were able to cut down, looks like one or two actually, of my Gandalf's Retinue Bodyguard. Luckily for me, it was not my general. He also still has the Temple Executioners. He's got some few random Mordor Maulers. And he's got his 12 Nazgul. So the Nazgul have not taken a single loss yet. Still very deadly as long as they're supported. But right now, I was basically just letting him. I actually am targeting with arrows right now, though. I believe I was letting him set up for a last stand. I think that's what he asked me to do. So I do believe that's what's going to be going on here inside here. Oh, my Gondor archers, though, have done so well, but now they're going to get charged by the... Oh, see, look at that. It's just the 7, or just the 5 now. 5... Oh, there we go. There goes the general getting taken by some Gondor archers. But yeah, that's how insane the fear is for Mordor. There's only 7 of these Melkor's Chosen, and they almost routed this very healthy unit of Gondor archers just like that. Anyway, Mordor's pretty much set up his last stand now. He's got kind of like a half-circle formation here with his Nazgul, his Temple Guard, and his Temple Executioners. His general's dead now, so that unit's kind of nullified. Or not really, but There's only 3 of them left, so it's not going to do a ton of damage. And here we've got my front line being engaged now. Temple Executioners being attacked by a lot of AP spears here. We've got Citadel Guard, we've got Fountain Guard. The Nazgul will be able to hold on for a very long time and get a lot of kills, but still, eventually they will fall, just like the Temple Executioners and the Temple Guard. And the rest of my infantry I was just kind of trying to run around with and trying to take out the rest of these archers. Those ones are actually routing. Over here, I think the Melkor's Chosen were taken out. Yes, you can see the last 3 there. However, they were able to take out a lot of my archers. But that is pretty much going to be it now. It's basically just a last stand of the Temple Executioners and Nazgul. Nazgul's still at 12. So we can go ahead and speed it up. So now the Nazgul and Temple Executioners surrounded on all sides what remains of my army. Looks like most of the Temple Executioners have been taken out. However, the Nazgul, you can look at them, still pretty healthy. Well, not anymore. I think there's only a couple of them left. You can still see them fighting, just butchering my lower 2 units, like the Gondor Infantry and Gondor Archers. Oh, I can't even see them because of all my units. I think there's only a few left, though. There's that. I can see 1 for sure. 2, 3... maybe 3 or 4 left over, it looks like. But yeah, honestly, I think this is a Gondor army that I would bring pretty often. It doesn't have any, like, super elites, like anything like Elisar's Vanguard or Wardens of the White Tower, but I don't really think that would be necessary, because I've got so many overall good units, like the Citadel Guard and Fountain Guard, that I think would do pretty good against most armies. Obviously, you'd have to change some things if you were facing certain factions, but still, I think for the most part, I'd be able to go for a Gondor pitch battle. And yes, Gondor is actually very effective now in a pitch battle because of their couple units that they can bring that are effective against cavalry. There's only 1 Nazgul left now, getting beat to death on all sides by pretty much all of my units here. This is just getting kicked around, and that is going to be it for this battle replay. You can see I was able to get 2,600 kills, my ally getting 1,700, and Mark XMD getting 2,200, and new player 105 getting 915 kills. So we can take a quick look here. Gandalf's new Bodyguard doing well, 176. Pinithgalen Cavalry doing alright, I guess. And Gondor Cavalry getting 46 and 34 kills. But I know looking at it, it doesn't really seem like much. However, when you think about it, that for the most part, all of their kills was purely cavalry. It was pretty much just those Numenorean Lancers and then the Warlords. That is actually a ton of kills right there in terms of killing actual cavalrymen, so that actually is still very good. My Carringer Swordmaster is doing good. All of my archers actually doing very well. My Ramessakor Garrison archers actually got 180 kills. Citadel Guard, whoa, one unit getting 348 kills, the other getting 167. Axemen didn't do bad. My Spearmen did well. And my 3 units of Gondor Infantry, 2 of them did very well for themselves. The other one did not do too bad either. And of course my Fountain Guard getting a lot of kills also. But that will pretty much do it for this video. So if you guys did enjoy, please comment, like, and subscribe if you did. If you did not, just tell me what I did wrong, and I'll be sure to fix it for the next video. Also, I actually don't think I mentioned yet that we have managed to reach to 1,000 subscribers, so a really big thank you to you guys for that. I am working on a 1,000 subscriber special. I don't want to ruin the surprise yet, so I'm not going to tell you quite what it is, but unfortunately it's taking a little bit longer than I had hoped for. But still, I think you guys are going to like it a lot, so I hope you guys do enjoy that one. But anyway, farewell wherever you fare, till your eyes receive you at your journey's end.